more discovery. It had been 5 months since a big storm had hit Sodor, and the workmen and engines were still helping to repair the damage. The main line suffered the worst. A landslide had blocked the tracks between Craven's Gate and Vickerstown. The engines had to use the Ballyhoo tracks to reach Vickerstown. Gordon was still in disgrace after his tumble, so he had been assigned to help the workmen. Henry was assigned to the express, which made James very cross. One morning, James was waiting at Wellsworth Station. He was pulling a guaranteed connection train and was waiting for Emily's passengers.
"Where is she?"
he grumbled.
"She's 10 minutes late now. I bet I'll get the blame for this."
Soon Emily arrived with her coaches, Amelia and Eliza. "Sorry we're late. A car broke down on the crossing. We had to wait for the breakdown truck to move it."
"Save your excuses for the Fat Controller," said James. "I've got to make up for lost time."
The passengers rushed across and hurried into James's coaches. He then puffed angrily away. "Well, rude engine," said Emily. "Don't worry," said her driver. "James has always had a short fuse." Emily just went back to work. Later that day, James and Emily were at Tidmouth Sheds. On a siding, they saw Murdoch, the big orange engine. He was feeling ill, and the workmen were checking him over. The Fat Controller came to see him. "I'm afraid his safety valve was blown. He'll need to go to works for overnight repairs." "Bother," said Sir Topham Hatt. "With Henry on the express, I had Murdoch down for pulling the Flying Kipper tonight." "Sir, I'll give it a try," Emily volunteered. "Thank you, Emily, but it's a heavy train tonight. You're going to have to double-head it. James will help you."
"What, me?"
replied James crossly. Emily wasn't happy about working with James either. They both weren't looking forward to tonight's train now. That night at Knapford Harbour, a long line of vans were being loaded with fish for the Flying Kipper. At the front, James was coupled to the vans, with Emily coupled up in front of him. James waited impatiently. Soon the guard blew his whistle. "Let's get this over with," complained James, as the 2 engines set off. All right, Emily replied. Soon they were rushing down the main line. They sped through the station and stormed through Henry's tunnel. The 2 engines even made it over Gordon's Hill without any help. They soon reached Cronk Station, but there was a problem. The signalman at Cronk was new, and he set the wrong points by mistake. Emily and James were sent down the wrong tracks. The night was so dark, neither engine noticed. They didn't stop until they found an unfamiliar station. "Oh bother," said Emily. "We went the wrong way." Her driver looked at the sign on the platform. "The station says Abbey. I know where we are. We're on the old Godred branch line." Emily and James looked around. Along the line, they noticed what looked like metal telegraph poles, all hanging a wire over the tracks. Funny place to put a wire. Emily wanted to explore the line, but she knew the Flying Kipper was more important, so she and James backed up to Cronk. The next morning, Emily spoke to the Fat Controller. "Abbey, you say? That must be the old Godred branch line," said the Fat Controller. "I've never heard of it," Emily replied. "It was an electric branch line from Kildane to Godred, with a junction at Cronk. My father, the first Sir Topham Hatt, had to close it in 1940. "Why?" "The electric dam that supplied the power broke down at the time of World War II. The line had to close, but we couldn't afford to restore the line when the dam was repaired. Maybe it's time to correct that mistake." Later that day, the Fat Controller asked Emily to meet him at Cronk Station with a large brake van. On the platform with him were railway inspectors and some engineers. I've spoken to the railway board. We've all agreed that reopening this line will be a great idea. Emily, take us down the line, please," the Fat Controller asked. "Yes, sir," Emily replied. Everyone climbed aboard and Emily set off slowly down the old tracks. They stopped at all the stations and bridges on the way. The inspectors and engineers double-checked them to make sure they were safe. Soon they arrived at Godred station. The small town of Godred looked beautiful. Emily watched as the engineers went off to look at the dam. They returned shortly and spoke to the controller. "The equipment to power the branch line is damaged, but nothing that can't be restored." The Fat Controller smiled. Then he spoke to Emily with good news. "The line is still in great condition. We believe we can reopen the line in time for summer. We'll begin work repairing the branch line next week." "Great, sir," Emily smiled. So Emily took the men home. But as she passed back through Abbey Station, Emily felt something strange, like someone was watching her.